Gold, it's been a measure of wealth for centuries, really. And, it's a lure for investors. It continues even today, especially, I think, when other markets feel shaky. But today, we're not just talking about gold bars or coins. We're diving into the world of modern gold mining with North Bay Resources. They're all about efficiency, sustainability, and laser focus on those smaller, high-grade deposits that are, well, I think, turning heads in the industry.
What's fascinating about North Bay is how they're kind of positioning themselves within, this whole evolving landscape. And they're not just chasing every speck of gold out there. They're being very strategic, I think, about targeting these richer deposits, which often translates to, less environmental impact and potentially a faster path to profitability, which is...
Sounds right. We've poured over company presentations, news articles, and financial data to get a kind of a clear picture of their operations and really their potential.
Yeah.
So consider this your shortcut, really, to understanding if they're truly sitting on a gold mine of opportunity.
Let's start with their focus on high-grade, small-scale gold deposits. To put that into context, a typical gold mine, you might yield around 1 gram of gold per ton of rock. It's pretty standard. North Bay is exploring areas with grades that are significantly higher than that. Sometimes several ounces per ton.
Wow.
That concentration that's really key to their strategy.
Less digging, potentially less environmental impact, and a higher chance of a significant return.
Exactly.
Makes sense. And speaking of location, they've set their sights on the Western U.S. and Canada, specifically California and British Columbia, with projects like Mount Vernon and the Fran Gold Project. It's interesting how they're establishing a footprint in these regions. Known for gold production, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Operating in these regions, it comes with, established infrastructure and a skilled workforce, which can be so advantageous for a company like North Bay.
Right.
And here's where it gets really interesting. They own their processing facility, the Bishop Gold Mill.
Okay.
So it's not just about digging up the gold. They're controlling, a crucial stage in the value chain.
The Bishop Gold Mill sounds like, kind of a game changer.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on why that's such a big deal in the world of gold mining?
Think of it this way. Most mining companies, they have to rely on third-party processing facilities.
Oh, I see.
And this can really cut into their profits and lead to delays.
Yeah, that.
By owning the Bishop Gold Mill, North Bay can process their ore on their own terms,
Yeah.
And that potentially increases their efficiency and really maximizing their returns.
Sounds like a savvy business move.
It is.
But what about the person steering this ship?
Sure.
Let's talk about Jared Lazerson, North Bay's CEO.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
His recent appointment seems to have come at a pretty pivotal time for the company.
It did. Jared Lazerson is, he's a seasoned mining executive, I'll say that. 25 years of experience.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's not just a gold guy either. His background, it spans diamonds, lithium. It's almost as if he has a knack for unearthing valuable resources, wouldn't you say?
He seems to have a nose for it, yeah.
He does.
That's amazing.
But what's particularly interesting, I think, is his previous experience as CEO of MGX Minerals.
From what we gathered, he wasn't just at the helm. He was really steering innovation there.
He was, yeah. He secured significant financing for innovative mining technologies at MGX.
Wow.
And this ability to attract investment in, a competitive landscape. That will be crucial for North Bay as they advance their projects, for sure. It signals a keen understanding of both the financial and the technological aspects of the industry.
For sure. And it seems like Lazerson, he hit the ground running.
He did, yeah.
The past few months have been, a buzz, I guess you could say, with news from North Bay gold shipments from their Fran Gold project, a new joint venture for the Tabor mine in California.
Yeah.
Not to mention, promising extraction test results from Mount Vernon.
Right.
For someone, who's been following North Bay, it feels like they're firing on all cylinders, wouldn't you say?
Hey, it's certainly been a period of significant activity, I'll say that. But it's important, I think, to look beyond just the headlines. These milestones, I think they suggest a company that's transitioning from exploration into production.
Right.
Critical stage in their development, I think.
I see, yeah.
Sure.
So let's delve into these projects a little bit.
Okay.
Starting with their flagship project, Fran Gold in British Columbia.
Right.
It's a massive undertaking, this one, spanning over 34,000 acres.
It is, yeah.
What makes this particular project, well, so promising?
Fran Gold's potential, it lies not just in its size, but in the quality of the deposit, the
Wow.
Bullion Alley Zone in particular.
Right.
That one has yielded some impressive drilling results, I'll say that.
Oh, wow.
They've uncovered a 3,700-foot gold deposit with sections grading as high as, are you ready for this? 2.6 ounces of gold per ton.
Wow, that's pretty high.
It's very high. Those
Yeah.
are the kinds of numbers that get investors excited.
Especially when you consider, well, the current market price of gold.
Exactly.
Yeah. But let's shift gears a little bit
Okay.
to their Mount Vernon project in California. It's a bit of a different story with this one, isn't it?
It is.
They're revitalizing a past producing mine with that one.
Right.
What drove their interest in this project?
Now, Vernon, well, it presents a very unique opportunity, I think.
Okay.
Past exploration, it suggested significant gold reserves, an estimated 954,000 tons of gold ore.
Wow.
Yeah, so North Bay saw the potential to leverage, modern mining techniques to breathe new life into this historic site.
Okay.
And their recent results, with assays showing up to 4.8 ounces of gold per ton, certainly, I think, validate that decision, wouldn't you say?
4.8 ounces per ton. That's more than double the grade at Fran Gold's Bullion Alley Zone.
It is, yeah. They're onto something, I think, with Mount Vernon.
It seems like it seems like they are.
Yeah.
But they haven't stopped there.
They have not, no.
They've also acquired the Tabor mine in California.
Right.
What's the strategic thinking behind kind of this addition to their portfolio?
The Tabor mine, it represents a very calculated expansion into a known gold-producing region, I think.
Yeah.
While still, in its early stages, this joint venture, it allows North Bay to leverage its existing infrastructure and their expertise in California.
I see.
And this type of strategic acquisition, it's often a sign of a company looking at long-term growth, I think.
So they're not just, not just digging holes. They're thinking several steps ahead, it sounds like.
They are, yeah. They're playing chess, not checkers.
Exactly.
That's a good way to put it.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of opportunities, let's circle back to the Bishop Gold Mill.
Okay.
It's one thing to have promising mining projects, right?
Right.
But the ability to actually process that or
Yeah.
efficiently, that's crucial, isn't it?
Oh, it's essential. Yeah.
Can you break down how the Bishop Gold Mill translates into potential revenue for North Bay?
Sure. The Bishop Gold Mill is, it's a key piece of the puzzle, I'd say.
Okay.
With a processing capacity of 96 tons of ore per day, it has the potential to generate, substantial revenue.
Right.
Now, the actual revenue, of course, it depends on two main factors, really, the grade of the ore and the market price of gold.
Of course, yeah.
So, for instance, if they're processing ore with, let's say, 0.5 ounces of gold per ton, and the gold price is, we'll say, $2,500 per ounce, their potential revenue, it could exceed $36 million annually.
Wow.
Yeah, those are big numbers.
Those are impressive figures. But we'd be remiss if we didn't consider the costs that are involved in mining, right? I mean, it's a capital intensive industry, to say the least.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Mining it's not cheap.
No.
North Bay, though, they have factored in costs like acquisition, transportation, processing, even a contingency buffer into their financial projections.
They have.
But even with these costs considered, they're projected what they call net revenue figures. Those are really what stand out, I think.
For those who might not be, all that familiar with, I guess, with financial jargon, what exactly does net revenue mean in this context?
Sure. Net revenue is, it's essentially the profit that's left over, after deducting all their operating costs from their total revenue.
Okay.
It's really the bottom line, I think, that investors look at to gauge a company's profitability.
Right.
And this is where the Bishop Gold Mill really gives North Bay, I think, a significant advantage.
By controlling the processing themselves, they can potentially streamline the operation.
Right.
And maximize those profit margins.
Exactly.
Which, that's a smart move, especially in an industry where, margins can be notoriously tight.
They can be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the financials either. Owning the Bishop Gold Mill, it also gives North Bay, more control, I think, over the environmental impact of their operations.
How so?
Well, they can implement,
Yeah.
sustainable practices and ensure responsible waste management,
Right.
which is increasingly important these days for investors and for communities alike, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So we've covered a lot of ground, I think, about North Bay.
We have.
Explored their approach, their leadership, the recent milestones, and their diverse projects, really.
Yeah, they've certainly been busy.
They have, but as with any investment, I guess,
Yeah.
the million-dollar question is always, what does the future hold for North Bay Resources?
That's the question I think every investor should be asking themselves.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy one to answer, I'll say.
Right.
That the mining industry, I mean, it's inherently cyclical, right?
Right.
And it's influenced by factors that are, well, beyond any one company's control, for sure.
Right, yeah. Commodity prices, for instance, can be, notoriously volatile, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, a sudden drop in the price of gold could significantly impact their profitability, even if they're running a tight ship.
Exactly. And then there are, regulatory hurdles,
Right.
geopolitical risks,
Oh, sure.
even environmental factors that could disrupt their operations, These are all things that I think investors really need to weigh when they're assessing, North Bay's long-term prospects.
It sounds like due diligence is really paramount here, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just about understanding, their projects themselves. It's
Right.
about understanding, the broader landscape that they're operating in.
Don't just rely on what you hear from us or from any single source for that matter.
Right.
Formulate your own questions, do your own research, and arrive at your own conclusions.
Right, yeah. Be your own kind of gold prospector in a way, right?
There you go. I like that.
There you go. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into North Bay Resources,
Yeah.
I think one thing is abundantly clear, at least to me.
Yeah.
They're a company to watch for sure.
They're one to watch. Yeah.
They're at a pretty pivotal stage, I think, in their journey as a company with a really interesting combination, I think, of ambition, strategy, and a commitment that we've seen to responsible mining practices.
Yeah. But the insights, that we've uncovered today, I think should equip you to navigate the exciting and sometimes, unpredictable, I guess, world of gold mining investments.
For sure.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'll leave you with a final thought, I think, as you continue your exploration of North Bay Resources. Consider this. How do their sustainability practices really align with this growing demand that we're seeing for, ethically sourced metals?
Right.
Could this be, I don't know, a key differentiator for them in the long run? What do you think?
It's certainly a question worth pondering, I think.
It is.
Yeah. Until next time, happy investing.
That's right. Happy investing.